Hi guys. Um, I will be talking about traits of bitter old women in church. Don't let this be you. Um, I hope you're all doing well. I feel like it's so important to talk about this because sometimes women can become bitter and they take it out on people, and then next thing you know, there's spiritual abuse, witchcraft attacks, and jealousy, rejection, and sometimes we don't understand what's going on. But it's so important to understand, how to be happy for others, learn from your past, learn from the mistakes you've made in the past, and under that, what, it's never too late. Spirit of rejection might make you feel like it's never too late to spirit rejection makes you feel like, oh, it's over for you. And so it's so important to understand that it's never too late. You might feel like you've lost time, but you can't end up being bitter. Be like Ruth. She moved and she knew how to, come out of a situation. So trait is a coward. Instead of change. Change is scary. Ruth, she had to make a change. People were gossiping. They're like, oh, her life is messed. She felt like she lost everything, but she didn't become a victim and stay there stuck and bitter and lazy. She actually got up and done something about it. Some people are so scared to make a move. They are scared to, make that first step and be bold and just to move. Some people just want to be victims and they want to drain other people's energy and waste their time, just being bashful. They feel like they've been mistreated, so they go around mistreating other people instead of learning from it and understanding that, it's important to get counseling and just to, do the work. It's so important to, not to take out on others, because some people they're dealing with rejection and abuse, maybe spiritual abuse, and they understood it. They understood what was happening to them, but they just, instead of dealing with it and getting healing, they took it out on people. They take it out on people. They try to make people live in hell and try to bully them and say, oh yeah, it's character building. They try to be abusive and bashful, and they try to, get people to do what they want. Like, oh yeah, be my slave, do this, do that. It's because they've been abused themselves. Instead of learning from it and realizing it, they they just they just get really, really emotional and they get very angry and they just take it on people instead of dealing with it, the stress and the trauma and dealing with it. They rather just take it on people instead of getting to the root issue. So you're just scared of change. The bitter woman is scared of change. They know they're in a toxic environment, but they just stay there. They just stay there because they're just desperate and they're in their situation. They don't want to get out of it. They're bitter, they're angry, and they're just making other people feel uncomfortable. And it's time for them to go. This could be a job, a church. You're there, and everyone around you doesn't want you there. You're miserable, you're bitter, and they know it's time's up. They know that you're supposed to be on already, but you're too stubborn. You don't want to change. You don't want to make that change, and leave. So it's just like, oh, okay, I'm going to live in hell and be miserable and a martyr and make people feel uncomfortable because you're too scared to just leave. You're too scared to leave. You're scared of change, and you have to make a change. You have to go. God is telling you to leave, and you just stay stuck there. But it's time's up, and there's somewhat things that confirm that it's time to leave, but you just stay stuck there. You're scared of change. Don't become a bitter woman that's scared of change, and you just stay stuck there, and you're just looking for other people to, tell you it's time to move on. And even if they tell you it's time to move on, you're too stubborn. So the second one is they're an enabler. Enabler. If you see abuse happening, if you see someone being toxic, don't be an enabler. You're seeing people get abused, you're seeing people get mistreated, and you're just thinking it's okay, and you're telling them to suck it up. You're just trying to like, oh, I'm so forgiving, I'm so forgiving, but you're you're just desperate for company. You're just desperate for company. You don't care if the person's abusive. You know that you know that you're lonely. You probably need counseling and deliverance, but you're just so desperate for company that you act like you're just so forgiving, but you're just so desperate for friendship. Any kind of friendship will do. It's just and enablers, they turn a blind eye. They're cowards. They turn an eye to abuse and mistreatment, exploitation. It's because they're desperate and they're scared of their own company. They're scared of their own company, and they are very, very bitter. When it comes to, moving on and getting on with their life, they don't want to. They'd rather stay stuck with the bitter people around them. Misery loves company. Misery loves company. The second one is not the second one. The next one, very insecure. They are so insecure, and they have fake concern. They're very. They might talk about your career choices, what you wear, but it's not coming from a nice place. It's not coming from a caring place. They don't care about you. They're just very insecure. They're scared of your potential. I know my lashes. That's why I don't wear lashes. They are very insecure, and they just try to tell you what to do, fake concern, but it's because of their very insecure. And that's why some women are very, very bitter and angry, because maybe that happened to them. They had people talking to them and telling them what to wear and what career to do, but it's because of how bitter they were. They said, oh, this, you should do that, and they have fake concern, and it's deep resentment and anger because they just didn't care. They were just insecure. They were just bitter because things didn't work out for them. It's like, oh, I think you should do this. So this didn't work out for me, so I think you should do this. And maybe they listened. Maybe they shouldn't have. Maybe deep down they regret their decision because they just wanted to be nice. They just wanted to be teachable, Esther teachable. And just because they probably want to say no and have brown, but they just want to seem kind. And now they have resentment. Now they have this deep anger and resentment because they just wanted to be seen as humble. She said yes to everything. She's so teachable like Esther, and yes to everything. And now they're just so bitter. They're very bitter, and they're just like, oh yeah, I'll say yes to everything. All right, fine. And they're just bitter, and they have the crabs in the barrel mentality. They have the crabs in the barrel mentality that, oh, you should do this because they're so angry. They're so bitter. They wonder why did they said yes to certain things, and why didn't they do certain things, and they were scared of having just being themselves, but they just wanted to be so agreeable, and it backfired because they just feel like they're not being themselves. The next one is making marriage a family, like kids. You can't idolize kids. Kids that might disappoint you. They might pick different career choices, and sometimes God has something in store for their life, and it might be like. And when it comes to having idols, you're going to be bitter. You put a marriage on a pedestal and kids on a pedestal, and you worship kids, you worship marriage, you're going to be very disappointed because, you need grace. Be patient when it comes to marriage. You need to be patient when it comes to your kids. They're human beings. They're not perfect. They're human beings that have needs. They're not supposed to be your slaves. They're human beings. God has a purpose for them. He has a purpose for their life. They're not supposed to be your little slaves. God has a purpose for them. And, step out the way. Let God deal with them, and let God deal with your marriage. It's supposed to be God-centered marriage, not supposed to be you-centered marriage. It's supposed to be, what God wants. And sometimes we get caught up because we idolize marriage and our kids, and we say, oh, I want my husband to be like this, I want my kids to be in this career, and God's like, wait, this is not what I want for your kids. And sometimes we get caught up in a way. We try to be we try to use them as their, we try to have our own way, and we try to say, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that for me, and you have like a little slave, but they're not your slaves. Your kids, you're not realize them, they're not perfect. Your kids are not perfect. And some people are bitter. Some women are very bitter because they had this idea what their kids will be. They have this idea what their marriage will be, and then they just walk around bitter and angry because people are human. They're not perfect, and their mother doesn't appreciate them, and they feel like, oh, why are they objectifying me? Why am I being idolized? I just want to be a human being. And We've got to stop the fantasies. We've got to stop the expectations and make God fill the void. You know, sometimes there's empty void in our life, and we try to get, we try to idolize marriage, idolize kids, thinking, oh, it'll make me happy. My kids will make me happy, and then next thing you know, it doesn't fill the void. Only God can fill the void. So if you want to not be bitter, put God first, and don't idolize your kids or marriage. Next one is don't be a copycat. Don't be a copycat. Copying somebody because you feel they're being themselves, and you rather just copy because you don't know who you are. Find out who you are. You have your own identity. Let God show you who you are. You don't copy and mimic somebody, and then you feel bitter because you're not being yourself. You walk around and you're not being yourself. You just like copying other people. Oh, she's doing this. I'll copy. Oh, she had this boundaries. I'm gonna copy her because she doesn't do this. They just mimic other people. They're bitter. They just mimic other people. They just copy what others are doing. Oh, this is how I'm doing my life. This is what I'm doing, and they just copy, even if they don't want to. They're just copycats, and just mimic other people's personalities, and they don't have any of their own. The next one is greed. You can't be greedy. You gotta be grateful. You can't be entitled. You can't be entitled to people's time and and just like, oh yeah, and start being bashful. Like, oh, not enough. You just never enough. Only God can fill the void. Only God can fill the void. You complain about your marriage, you complain about your kids, and you're just greedy. And sometimes family's not perfect, your kids are not perfect, but sometimes you don't want to become greedy that God's like, oh, God wants to fill the void. Sometimes it's a void that needs filling, and we try to fill it in certain things, but only void. So it's so important to understand that when it comes to your purpose and your calling, you need that alone time with God, because you're gonna just feel burnt out, and you're gonna feel like you don't become entitled, and you just don't appreciate people anymore. And it's so important to understand that. Next one is being a bully, provoking somebody, being provoking, leaving somebody out just because they're glowing and shining. It's not godly. Don't become that bitter person that's just being jealous and being envious and just making someone else's life a living hell because of what you've been through, or you're bitter. You don't like how things are turning out. Don't become bitter. It's not good look. It shouldn't be normalized. It shouldn't be normalized. You picking on someone. Oh, I'm going through a bad day. Oh, no one cares about me. So you just go around being bitter and taking out on people. It's just not right. That's not godly. It's so important to tell God everything you're going through. Talk to God about it. Talk to God about how frustrated you are. Instead of taking out on people. Get counseling, get therapy. Get counseling, get therapy, and always put God first in what you do. Next one is you refuse to heal. So you walk around and you have fake positivity. You're bubbly, you're kind to people. Behind their back, you're gossiping. Behind their back, you're gossiping. Positivity. You're not really happy. You're not really happy. You're just bubbly and you want people to see you a certain way. But when you go home, you're just empty. Let God fill you. Get deliverance. Get healing. Get deliverance. It's so important to get counseling and healing and stop pretending to be happy, like fake positivity. It's so important. It's so important to actually do the work and deal with your issues. Next one is using people for selfish gain. You love using people. You love exploiting people. You get a rise out of it. You love using people, and it's toxic. It's a toxic trait to have. You feel like you're getting away with it, but God sees it, and it's so important not to try to exploit people. And you gotta have boundaries. Maybe you feel like you got exploited yourself. You're a people pleaser, and now you want revenge and you want to get payback. But you have to realize you gotta learn your lesson. That's all. Learn your lesson and be wiser. That's it. You don't have to revenge and try to start on your haters and try to use people in the like some people. You can't just use people and try to get you want fame so badly, you don't mind who you step on. You don't mind who you step on. You don't mind who you hurt. As long as you get your haters seeing you, you don't mind who you hurt. You don't care whose life you ruin. You want fame. You want people to see you because you're bitter, and that's not a way to get success. It's to step on people to get there. Yeah, that's all I have for now. If you need any counseling or coach requests, email me. Thank you for listening.